And his half-sister, mean mugging.
Ready, on the
From the shore.
You're like, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? And he's like, no, we gotta turn around Vhagar. And Vhagar's like, I'm ready for this fight. I'm ready to catch this smoke.
Vhagar's nuts.
Vhagar's nuts. Welcome back to the after show here on the break room. We're raising an army of, say it with me now, bastards! Hit that graphic. Line, Jessica.
Bastards!
Oh, that was a good read.
His finger turned at it. I love that.
Do it again for the
I don't think I can. I just my voice is
You can do it.
Bastards!
Ooh,
he pointed like
he did.
That was my favorite. Still to this season, best line of the
Hey,
show.
he can keep his tongue. Also, that was last season.
No, I meant like
You think
overall.
it's better than
Over
this? It's still running the show.
And
Okay.
everything overall.
Well, today we're talking about House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing. Does this season end with all-out dragon war or something smaller? With the Blacks clearly up in the power rankings, that is to say the blur power algorithm, it's anyone's guess. We'll get into that and more. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, she's always running off into the mountains when it's time to go to Pentos. It's Jessica Clemons.
I need to rest. I need to rest.
Ooh, burnt sheep. And also joining us today, he has dishonored himself and the crown with his comportment here. It's Zach Huddleston.
Hey, you know what I say whether I'm at a buffet or watching House of the Dragon?
What's that?
Who am I to gainsay what the gods have laid before me?
Hey, yo.
You know what I mean? I will take a couple more chicken wings, thank you very much.
You can't fight it. If the gods give you chicken wings, you gotta eat. As we do on this show every week, we're gonna try to avoid spoilers as much as possible. So anytime we talk about the source material, Fire and Blood, it will be focused only on the changes that they've made in the show. So we're not trying to spoil anything for you if you haven't read the book. Also, don't forget to check out nerdriot.shop for fun House of the Dragon inspired merch. Zach is wearing the throne right now. He won't sit on it, but he'll wear it. We've got lots of great stuff at nerdriot.shop, and buying some merch from nerdriot.shop is a great way to support all three channels in the new Rockstars network.
Didn't we have a Game of Thrones chair at one point?
A chair? An actual
did we
chair?
make
Yes.
one?
We didn't make one. We worked with a company that sent us one for free.
We should try to make one again.
You want to make one?
It will be cumbersome to the set.
We're gonna have to get
It'll
some
take up a
swords.
lot of room.
We have
But
to
we
find some
will.
swords. All right, Jessica, why don't you kick us off with a little bit of a recap before we dive into this episode?
Bastards! I can say that
That's what this episode's about.
because it's about them. And then that's also the plus side, is knowing that I would have been so successful in that. Well, no, because I would have been a bastard that wasn't,
Hey, you can ride a dragon.
maybe.
I believe in you. Just don't be scared.
That's right.
Or be extra scared.
I would hope to give her. I want Vermithor so bad too. Okay.
Also, don't have a messed up face. You know?
What's wrong with the face
The
part?
dragon, Vermithor didn't like the
That-
messed up
that
face.
one-
I don't think it was the face. We can talk about. I don't think it was the face. I think
likes
he can
symmetry.
sense it. I think he can
Vermithor
sense
was like,
it.
who you looking at? Are you looking at me? Yeah, over there? What is this? Is it my horns? Is it my messed up horns?
I'm like, no, it's not your horns, Vermithor.
Don't look at my messed up horns on this side. I'll burn your ass so fast.
They're just giant cats, and I love every
They are
single. I
giant
love
cats.
each
It's
and every.
true.
I love each and every one of them so much. Okay, so this episode is all about growing those dragon seeds into dragon riders, or just finding the seeds first, because that's more important. After Addam pledges loyalty to Rhaena, Mysaria. I can never pronounce it right now. Whatever. She puts the call out to the Targaryen bastard small folks in King's Landing via Alan. Both Alan and Addam have touching moments, I guess if you want to call it that. It's more so.
Kind of sweet.
Was it?
Cold as hell, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, how'd you all feel about
Men
it?
can't show affection.
There was,
Well, okay.
Corlys was like, our bloodline has no dragon rider in it, or something, when he was talking to Alan. He did say our instead of my.
Yeah. Well, can I ask
And he
you,
was like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about your mom.
can you, I know that this is the season where we're kind of breaking that rule, where they're like looking at all the scrolls for science and math to make it make sense, but does this just mean that someone that was Targaryen is, or does it mean that it just doesn't matter?
Yeah, because their Corlys, I think, was saying, like, the Valerians, we didn't really ride dragons that he knows of, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in like old Valyria they were riding dragons, but he was like, the Valerians that I know, we weren't really riding dragons, and he was kind of like, I don't really know anything about your mom, so maybe she had Targaryen blood.
Or the dragons.
Or he's denying his own dragon riding.
or the dragons, unlike all the characters in this show are egalitarian. They don't see class or lineage,
Yeah.
and they're just like, these are cool dudes.
That's what I'm still stuck on, and I
As
want
long
them
as
to
your face is beautiful, you can
stop
ride.
it. No, because Dark, whatever, he didn't have an ugly face. He just wasn't the one. But I want them to either solidify that or cement it eventually, and just be like, dragons just don't see the poor people.
Right.
Because I think anyone can be a dragon rider as long as you're not afraid of me, and also I choose you.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yes.
that's what I was
Yeah.
confused about.
I didn't save the dragon. The dragon saved me.
Oh,
Those are what those people have on their cars, and it makes me want to.
That's what I would put on my dragon.
yeah.
On the back.
I would put my other car is a Vermithor.
That's a good sticker, actually. They should make that. We should make that.
Also, in Dragonstone, Jace takes a lot of issue with this whole Dragon Rider program and calls into question his own inheritance and lineage. Rhaenyra is like, yeah, but you're my heir. Everything's gonna be cool. I've got to do what I got to do. Again, who am I to gainsay?
What the gods have laid before me.
It is like, on the one hand, they're clearly making Rhaenyra somewhat more flexible, progressive, whatever. Like, she's listening to Mysaria say, like, hey, your own siblings, your own half-brothers
Right.
are declaring war against you, even though they're,
They're like supposedly highborn, raised properly,
yes.
and all that.
Whereas Alan, who was swapping decks a week ago, is willing to go into battle for you, right? Like, so you shouldn't put too much weight into this lineage, this highborn stuff, right? And she's like, yeah, totally. And part of that is maybe her eyes are opening a little bit. Part of that's also just like, how can I win this war? I'll take anything I can.
She was
right?
also raised better. Like, Viserys was the peacekeeper. He's what brought peace, or most peace, amongst the realms.
Jaehaerys brought the peace to the land, and Viserys maintained it.
Well, it is interesting. Multiple times in this episode, Rhaenyra mentions this program as a way to end the war, which, there's a parallel there. That's how, nuclear weapons
that's
in
what
World
the
War
atomic bomb was
II
supposed
were
to do.
sold as the only way we can end this war quickly is by dropping bombs, and that'll actually save lives in the long run rather than dragging this war out. Now, is that logic sound?
Isn't she under the impression that, once they hear that we have extra riders, they're gonna bow
she
down
thinks they might-
immediately?
Or
As
they can at
opposed
least, if they kill, Vagar and Aemond, problem solved.
Yes.
Let's move on.
I still don't think, and we can talk about this later, I still don't think 7 dragons can take down Vagar.
I don't know.
Maybe Vermithor. I think if you have Vermithor plus the 6
Bronze
plus the
Fury?
5,
Ooh.
great.
Vermithor plus Cyrax? That's a lot of dragon meat. Caraxes up
but
there?
they still have another dragon. And Vagar is just so. When Vagar came in at the end, I went, "Oh yeah, I forget how big this bitch is."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Well, no, at least you gendered
That's a
Vagar
good
correctly. Yeah.
She is a big girl.
Lady Vagar. Larys dismisses the rumor of Seasmoke having a rider. Let that whisper stay on the wind. And instead continues to push Aegon's recovery via Master Orwyle. Poor Master Orwyle. He's tending to cuts. He's trying to give PT to a wounded ass king who doesn't want it, right? And Larys is like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
I need this dude up.
And Orwell also thinks we got to get Aegon back on the throne. Mainly, he's not great. He's not a great dude, but Aemond is really problematic.
Well, and Larys knows he's on the outs, right?
When Orwell dies,
He's
I'll
also
be
he's Aegon's Master of Whispers, not Aemond's.
Right,
really, right? He wasn't. his
Aemond was
chosen
I
guy.
have no need for a Master of
yeah.
Whispers.
Also, Otto Hightower taking his time getting back.
The old slow crawl back to
Yeah, did that crow stop for a break? Alicent, you know what? She's just eat, pray, loving out in the Kingswood. You know what I mean? She's on a journey of self-discovery. She's got her guy hunting rabbits, and she's just floating.
Yeah, so Rickon, she's like, hey, I want to go out in the woods. He's like, okay, let me get a bunch of dudes together, because last time we were out there, it didn't go so well. She's like, no, just you and me. And he's like, oh, man, I'm so
poor
dead.
man. Just Orwell, I feel bad for these people. They're like, please, I don't want to die.
I do like their casual clothes, right? He doesn't wear his armor out to
He's
the
a little
woods.
Yeah,
too
in fact,
hot.
I
They're
didn't
trying
even,
to be a little incognito.
I didn't even really recognize him at first. When she rides up and he's gutting something, I was like, oh, is this a poacher in the Kingswood or something like that? And
I'd
I was
also be like, did you catch 10 more of those? What is this, an aperitif?
That's the worst part. Is girl, this is why I wanted to bring more people. I can't feed you. I can't watch you.
She's like, I'm going to bed. He's like, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, he's like,
The sun's out.
So you're gonna be up all night, and I gotta stay
hear
and watch.
everything going on in the tent. What am I doing here? I gotta take a shit. Get out of here, lady.
The Kingswood looks lovely. That water also Melissa had decent salinity because she's pretty
floating.
buoyant.
It felt like
Pretty
a hot
buoyant,
spring,
Full of
right?
leeches.
You know what I mean?
Full of leeches and animals and snakes. I said she's floating in something that she doesn't know what's below her.
I
That's
was
crazy.
wondering for a second if the white stag would reappear that Rhaenyra didn't
From the hunt?
kill. Yes.
Yeah, from
I
the
thought that
hunt.
would have been a fun
That would've been
visual.
fun.
But we got a
That would've been
bird. We got a bird.
And of course, we've got to talk about that great scene. Our man. Our
boy
boy man.
Our boy man. Our
Oscar
boy
Tully.
man.
Oscar Tully and Daemon and the River Lords.
Gen Alpha stepping up, ready
That's
to
right.
take the control.
Zooming right to the head of the Riverlands. He reunites the River Lords and just the dexterity here to be like, I mean, what do I know? I'm such a little baby boy. I've never led. What do I know? The only thing I know, I think this guy should have to cut his head off.
And that little
And he
dance
does.
he did for it too
Yeah.
was very spot on
He
and
talks
perfect.
like so softly and like very controlled.
A little unsteady.
Yeah.
He's not trying to like overcompensate
Yeah.
with a bunch of bravado. Or
I think
something like
Blackwood
that.
thinks he's got it locked up. He's like, listen, I'm here. I did what I did. This guy, he bent the knee. He broke the rules. Here's my sword. I'm laying it down at your feet.
Everybody want him killed too because they were like justice, justice,
Yeah,
justice,
yeah. I
justice.
think
He
they're
was
all
like, this
pissed.
is justice.
Because they're like, yeah, we agree that the Brackens have betrayed the oath, but like you came around and like murdered our wives, killed our kids, ransacked our homes. Like you didn't have to do all that.
And this doesn't serve the Brackens and the Blackwoods from peace, right? They're still
No,
gonna hate
they
each other
still
more
hate
than
each other. This
anything.
didn't solve anything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But after Oscar, of course, pledges loyalty to Rhaenyra, he makes Daemon do his bidding. And Daemon, he thought about it for about 1.24 seconds, and then shink, whonk.
But he feels bad about it. I think
He does.
Way.
I mean,
That
as
was
the
the
dude's like,
1.24 seconds.
I've been loyal.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
only doing your bidding. You shunk. Which, you know, as pointed out, I think by Oscar Tully, he was just doing Daemon's bidding, but also he wanted to do it.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
been
he did.
dying to
He-
torture Brackens his
also-
entire life.
He brought the Targaryen banners around when he did it, and he wasn't supposed to do that part.
I'm also not trying to be this person, but you crying like that at the end before your death, the Brackens are gonna be bringing that up to the day. They're gonna be like, oh, your guy was whining like a little bitch, like when he got beheaded.
It also reminds me of like Blood and Cheese, right? They get killed for doing what
Yeah,
Daemon told them
that's
to
true.
do.
Yeah.
And none of this stuff blows back on Daemon.
The
really.
lesson there, don't mess with Daemon.
Yeah, don't do anything.
Don't-
Just die. Rather
Yes.
die than deal with
Yeah.
Daemon. Like the other guys did. They were like, we'd rather die than do this.
Right,
and they were
right.
like, damn.
Okay. Let's talk about those delicious Targaryen bastards who arrive at Dragonstone, and with the Dragon Order refusing to help, the Dragon Keepers, they're the Teamsters of this world. They're like, we're not doing this.
Is that the last we see of the Dragon Keepers?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what qualifications they have for any other job. Maybe
I don't
they can
think
go
they
talk to the
care.
Lannisters and be like, you want help with the Lions?
I think their pride is more in their work
Right.
than it is in the, which,
Well-
again, respect, but also, hey, we're at war. We're about to all die, including the dragons.
Yeah.
You
Well,
better
or
rise
they
up.
they will help Rhaenyra with her and Jace with their dragons because they're still legit. They just won't help these dragon seeds with theirs.
Yeah.
I think they were like, we don't want any part of this program. We don't like it. I don't know what they might go to King's Landing to be like, can we help out in the dragon
I also
pit or
don't
something?
think, I don't think it was like the war. I think they're just, or I think it was more the war than it is about letting the lowborns. They're like, hey, they're not toys. These are like
Right.
gods.
Yes,
Like, you guys
these-
are fighting a war and you're only doing this to put them into that battle. These are literal gods. And I was like, I respect, that's why I was like, I respect that. I don't think they'll go to even King's Landing because they might start doing the same.
Yeah. These Dragon Keepers, they're not Targaryen, but they believe this hook, line, and sinker. They speak High Valyrian. You know, they're saying
speak
it to Rhaenyra
only,
in High
yeah.
Valyrian. They're like, you know, they don't want the other people to know what they're saying, right? Like, you know, they're all burnt up. This has been their whole lives. They're in the caves. And now you're saying like, oh, anyone can really ride a dragon. Well, she's claiming that these are, you know, still have Targaryen blood. You know, they call all these dragon seeds Andals, right? Saying like they're not of Valeria, you know what I mean? They're not special like you Targaryens. These are just humans.
Despite the white wigs,
Yeah.
right in front of their eyes. Okay, can't you look around
Which
and
is
see?
wild as hell that they were like, and this is just the battle of the world. And I'm still upset about it. I'm like, they care so much about like bastards and lowborns being low, like you're small folk, you're small folk, and I'm like, your king wandered off and found that person's mom. Like that doesn't make them small folk anymore. That's just how the rules are.
Well, it's like in a world where a caste system is so important, you cling on to what you have. You're like, they might be dragon keepers, but we're above fish merchants.
And
right?
that's the entire Jace argument, right?
Yeah.
If we chip away a little bit, the entire system crumbles, right? And like even Rhaenyra's claim to the throne, even the idea so much of the Targaryen dynasty is built on they're the only people that can ride these dragons. The dragons are gods. These people are godlike. Thus, they must stay leading the realm, right? And we know that, like, well, as soon as dragons are no longer around in the era of Game of Thrones, the Targaryens are no longer in power, right? And we got Baratheons and we got Lannisters on the throne because, like, that connection between these god creatures and royalty has been dissolved.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Rhaenyra, after everyone signs in, they get their welcome package. She walks them onto the dragon gantryway and is like, "Hey, Vermithor, calling you out." Doesn't sing the song, which I think is rude.
She says, "Come."
She said, "Vermithor, get your ass in here."
No lullabies.
And then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go watch from upstairs. Hope you guys can figure this out." Doesn't give him any of the lingo to say, nothing like that. She just wants to see how this dragon reacts to it.
Also, all of them at once.
Was that the plan?
Stop.
Was to do them all at once? Was that her plan? I thought she was gonna let them
It was
come up one at a
not
time.
only all of them at once, but then the guards blocking them from leaving.
Which I think she
I'm
was
glad
like,
some made it through.
she was like, "I want to see who he picks."
This
It's a
was-
bad
was a
strategy.
second
I think it's a
dragon.
bad strategy.
This was Squid Game shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
But there was a second dragon, so it's like if he kills all of them, who's gonna take the second dragon?
Well, I think she was hoping he wouldn't kill all of them. She had high hopes, and it didn't go well. In this incredible sequence that is, they were trying to do like one continuous shot. There are some hidden cuts in it. They talk about this in the behind the scenes. It's really cool. And we basically see Vermithor like burn or eat, 95% of the group. In the behind the scenes, they were saying like 45 dragon seeds like die in all of this. It's a good way to get rid of any of these inheritance claims. I will say that's like a good backup, right? You've basically acknowledged like, hey, you're all Targaryen bastards.
Well,
but now they're all dead.
Also, I mean, really helps your sheep budget at Dragonstone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got a belly full of dragon seed.
We
You know
can
what I
save
mean?
today's sheep for tomorrow.
That's
you know what I
right.
mean?
That's right. Do you think there's a little bit of that's why Hugh Hammer got picked, just because he's like, well, I'm full. So like Vermithor,
He's the
it's
last
like
one
you don't
up.
want to go to the grocery store hungry. It's a little bit like Vermithor. You don't want to pick your rider hungry. But now he's full, so now he can.
That I also think it was that he was the only one that was like, "Come here!" He had
Yeah,
kill me
because
now.
they keep saying,
He showed
"Don't
guts.
be afraid," and
Yeah.
I feel like a horse, they can
Ulf
smell
was pretty
fear.
afraid.
Ulf was very
Yeah,
afraid.
exactly. Well,
we'll get to Ulf.
that dragon was a little bitch.
Whoa, Silverwing.
Silverwing's a little
Okay.
No. Well, I will say this. Hugh Hammer does kind of, there's that little puddle. And Hugh Hammer kind of like, when he's scrambling around, he gets a little bit of that puddle on it. And I don't know if that's just water. Maybe that's a little like dragon juice or something.
Yeah,
He's got
dragon
smell
piss.
on him. He gets
Yeah.
gets in it.
The pheromones.
But yeah, he's lost his daughter. His wife is, I think he's pretty much broken up.
Can I say
They're on a break.
Can I say thank you, House of the Dragon, for finally killing a child off screen?
Yeah. No brutal death of a child on
We didn't have to
screen.
slowly watch his daughter.
No squelching noises.
I would have rather watched that than what I got at the very beginning, though, a decapitated baby. At least
yeah.
this woman was dying like sickly in a bed.
Yeah. But Hugh Hammer, he's single. He's ready to mingle.
He's not single. He just left her.
They're on a break, Jess.
Oh my
They're on a break. He can do whatever he wants.
Oh
Different
my
zip codes. He gives it all up. He stands in front of Vermithor, ready to die. And Vermithor's like, you know what? You're pretty cool, Hugh. I like the cut of your jib.
He goes, Vermithor played Duck Duck Hughes.
Boo.
Oh.
Can we cut
know what
that,
I mean?
Brian? Can we cut that?
I just like that he chose the biggest human. He was like, "Oh, I'm the
yeah.
second biggest dragon. You're like the second
He was like,
biggest
hey,
human."
your face is pretty symmetrical. I'll take it.
It wasn't the face.
It was
Stop
the face.
making him shallow.
I want an entire spinoff for that poor first Targaryen bastard guy with the weird face, dude.
Yeah.
There's a story there.
Tough look for my guy.
Yeah, what was his family all about?
And of course, we have the very reluctant Ulf, the Dragon Lord. He didn't even want to go, right? I think he liked his little scheme he had going in Dragonstone. They forced him to go, in King's Landing. They forced him to go. He hates this immediately. He grabs a torch and he runs down a little cave. And eventually he finds Silverwing. This is kind of Vermithor's partner, right? Jaehaerys and Alysanne, these were their dragons. And they were the only ones who had ridden these dragons up until this point. He steps on like an egg clutch. He doesn't break an egg, because these eggs are pretty strong, right? But he kind of steps in
It's
it.
like the amniotic.
Yes, which I think
fluid of
helps
it.
him. Much like Hugh got a little dragon
Yeah, he
juice
gets
on
the
him.
smell.
I think he gets a little
Yeah.
dragon stuff. Plus, he kind of drops his torch near the eggs, and I wonder if like Silverwing, being a mama, was like, "Oh, thanks for warming up the dragon eggs." Also, I also took it as like he's almost like a baby dragon coming out of the clutch. I think she's bored.
She's trying to nurse him.
Yeah,
like a
she's like,
mom.
oh, you're cute. You're a
He's
cute
muddy.
little guy.
And his little foot.
They not only showed him stepping into the clutch.
Yeah.
He was like, they purposely showed him like stepping through a lot of mud.
Yeah.
And again, it's probably making mud in the dragon pits.
Yeah.
That's dragon piss. That's dragon poo. That's
covered in the smell.
We're making mud, dude.
He's wandering through the litter box.
I like the idea that he wanted to live back. I like the idea that she is like. It's funny to see Hugh the Hammer just be like, "Come on, do it," and Vermithor be like, "Okay, man,
mommy, please."
And she's like, "Oh, okay, come on,
get
baby,
on my back.
because that could be true. That could be." She's like, and then, like riding him is more about like, okay, I'm gonna go slow. Like it might be weirder for him to like be on balance.
Real quick, we also don't know all these white-haired people. Maybe some of them were wrong, and they did not have actual Targaryen lineage. We don't know. And just to, we were talking about, was it Hugh and talking to his wife mentioned that his mom would always say that his brothers were Daemon and Viserys.
Yes.
Right. So he is Jaehaerys' bastard. Right.
Well, no. So Jaehaerys and Alicent had a bunch of kids, and their 9th child was a girl named Sarah Targaryen. And Sarah Targaryen, she was a little wild child. And she basically was messing around with these 3 different kind of like lords or heirs to different kingdoms. And long story short, she kind of loses her maidenhood early, admits this to her father, and Jaehaerys hates it and like sends her to Old Town to be become a septa. So she runs away. She runs to Lys and eventually Volantis. She opens her own pleasure garden. She makes a lot of money. She basically becomes a madam. And then
her own Mysaria.
She becomes her own Mysaria, if you will, or her own Sylvie, if you want to consider Sylvie like that. At one point in the book, too, she sends 3 of her children, bastards from different men, to the Great Council of 101 to be like, hey, one of these 3 should be. Because basically, Jaehaerys never speaks to her again. But Alicent kind of keeps in touch with her.
Oh, so that's why he said rich men just wanted to sleep with a woman with silver hair or whatever, right?
So she was a Targaryen.
So he's not...
so he would be cousins to...
She was the sibling of Daemon and Viserys, and he would be their nephew.
No, he would be their cousin. She would be sibling to Daemon and Viserys' father.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Silverwing's like, listen, I gotta run some errands. I haven't been to King's Landing in a minute. So Ulf and Silverwing go riding over there. Aemond sees this, freaks out a little bit. And now this is different from the book too. I don't think he was aware of this Dragonseed program right away. But he chases Silverwing back to Dragonstone and sees that there's several dragons now with riders over there.
Which is what Rhaenyra wanted.
And his half-sister, Mean Muggin.
Ready, on the
From the shore.
You're like, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? And he's like, no, we gotta turn around Vhagar. Vhagar's like, I'm ready for this fight. I'm ready to catch this smoke.
Vhagar's nuts.
Vhagar's nuts. I think Vhagar's also like, I just want to die, please. When Aemond went riding out of the city, I was like, why don't you have Vhagar in the dragon pit? It's like, oh, Vhagar probably doesn't fit in the dragon pit anymore.
I also love that it's like he has to take a horse to get on a train to then take a boat to get to Vhagar.
Yeah, it's like you need one of those like fireman poles down to Vhagar and stuff like this is too far away. I was really surprised we didn't see a couple of those scorpions going off.
Yes.
I was ready for that to start happening.
I wonder if it's just that Silverwing was moving too fast and they couldn't get a beat because we saw them loading up and getting ready.
I also liked when that scene started, you hear commotion outside and yelling. And at first it's like, oh, are the small folk rising up again? Is it another riot? And then you hear dragon. And you're like, oh, okay. Because Aemond's sitting right there and Helena's certainly not flying around. You're like, oh, okay, it's happening. It's going on. But very exciting. Well, we have lots to talk about this episode, but before we continue, here's Zach from the past to tell you about one of our sponsors.
Hey, Zach here to tell you about one of our sponsors today, Raid Shadow Legends. We've been playing Raid for a few years now, and we're not alone. Raid is an awesome mobile RPG that has over 4 million users and over 250 million downloads. It has over 800 playable champions and 16 factions to choose from, with over 30 bosses to take down and literally over 1 million playable builds, so you'll never get bored. It's got monthly content updates and is fully cross-platform, so you can play with your friends or family without worrying about being trapped in whatever walled garden you're in. Click the link in the description below to get started with Raid and see why it's so highly rated in the App Store. You'll immediately get a huge starter pack with an epic champion, Tyrell from the High Elves faction. He's got nice pointy ears. Many players consider Tyrell to be the very best epic that Raid Shadow Legends has to offer, with his arsenal of high-powered debuffs suited for all occasions. And you'll get another starter pack after reaching level 25 that includes an epic Rector Drath. She's one of the strongest support epics that you'll definitely need in your collection. Come find us and join Clan New Rockstars. We'll see you in Raid.
Before we get into our big questions from the episode, any favorite moments from the episode you want to highlight? I mean, I loved the Vermithor sequence.
Yeah,
that was
I think-
insane.
Yes.
I really
It was
So
so,
tense.
long, and it kept going.
And I mean,
Crazy.
in the background as we're following Hugh, you just see this person getting roasted,
Yeah.
this person getting roasted. And I will say we've seen a lot of dragon violence on this show. We've seen them spraying people with fire. Haven't seen them eat people.
No, I don't-
nearly
yeah, we
that
don't-
much, right?
I
And
think
like,
Vermithor was just like, oh, they're running. I gotta stop them
They're
somehow.
sheep size to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, again, like a cat, like Godzilla when he sees the trains, and
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I gotta go stop this one.
Yeah, right?
I also think even though there were a few important plot developments in this was still mostly a setup episode for the finale, but it moved
Yeah.
and like it was sharp in that I didn't feel like it was just delaying getting to the fun stuff. I thought it did a good job of getting me hyped for the
Yeah.
fun stuff that we're gonna get.
I think it was weird. I think that the pacing was kind of a little slow at the beginning, especially, no offense to Hugh. I didn't need that long, drawn-out conversation with him and his wife.
Right.
It was a little too back and forth to the point where I was like, just go. We know you're going.
Yeah.
I know you're not
Just
staying. Same with Ulf in the bar. I was like, we know you're not staying. But because I think I really wanted the appeal to also kind of be, which maybe isn't good, that we don't know who is going to be chosen to reroad as a dragon.
Right.
But it was because it was like, oh, it's either going to be Alan or it's going to be Addam. I was like, they're going to show both of them all the time. And then we saw Seasmoke chase after so-and-so. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
now it
Seasmoke
makes sense.
picked Addam
But
pretty
we knew it
quick.
was going to be Ulf and we knew it was going to be Hugh Hammer because we kept staying on them for some reason. I wish there was more people and then some got killed.
Right. If there had been more like red herrings,
Yeah.
but we didn't have
Yes.
time. Yeah, I do agree. The kind of like the dragon seed sequence, it should have maybe started earlier in the season.
Yeah, I
been a slower
agree.
build. It had to kind of quickly get there, but
I understand it. I'm not like too upset. It's just obvious that like when we saw all of them standing in that room, I was like, okay, this one and that one.
Those two will be
None
okay.
of the women, none of these poor women are gonna make it.
They brought their plot armor. That was very good of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence too. If you don't watch those, like, there's a great. Every episode has like a 20-minute behind the scenes thing. Anytime you see like dragon fire on the show, it is real. They like set these stunt actors on fire. It's crazy. It looks so good.
It looks so good.
And that's a holdover from the original Game of Thrones. They always use real fire
Yeah.
effects.
I mean, every time somebody gets set on fire, and you can kind of like, you see like a weird, like smoothed out skull. I mean, some
Yeah.
of that might be because of the things they have to do to protect
Well,
the stunt actor, but it also,
yeah.
it looks like, oh yeah, their hair and everything's melting off their head.
Yeah, they
you know?
developed for
Zach's like,
anyone.
rewind it.
For anyone who's not fully engulfed, if they're just like the back of them are on fire, they developed like prosthetics that are like fire retardant that looked like burnt up skin, so it makes sense already, and it's very cool.
I want to be the mocap for the dragon.
You want to do a dragon mocap?
And
They do have like puppeteers on set, like 3 dudes in all blue
giant stick
with
for the
like a
wings.
giant blue head, and it's
Well,
so cute.
let's talk about one scene that we haven't talked about is that opening scene on the beach.
Yes.
Right, with the 2 dragons where Rhaenyra first meets
Addam,
Addam, and like, what a nice, she doesn't know what the hell's going on at first. Who is this guy? Does he mean me harm? Did he steal this dragon or whatever? And until Addam reveals himself to be a real chill, cool guy.
Takes the knee immediately.
Takes the knee immediately. She even calls it out, like, you take the knee pretty quick for a guy who's just won the lottery, basically.
Well, half the guys who took the knee for her have tried to kill her now, so.
That's right. So she's weary, but it's like finally a clear W for her. She almost doesn't trust it because it's so
Too
like,
easy. Too
blatantly
easy, right?
and wonderful, right? That this guy who like works for my uncle or whatever, you know, and is like happens to be loyal to me, just happened to find this.
I feel like it would have been. I was like, he's probably related to you. Just assume. But I was also like, it's hard to question it because he has black hair still.
Right,
his hair,
right.
his dreads are still
much.
black. But also that scene, I think that was one of my favorite moments, other than Vermithor, because it was so great to immediately think, you stole this dragon. It was like, no, he chased me down.
Yes.
You're out of your mind.
And like the entire time the 2 dragons are there,
Yeah.
the dragons are tense. They're kind of,
They're
you don't know,
protecting.
like, do these dragons trust the riders of the other dragon? Do these dragons trust each other? We don't know what the
Well, they
relationship
used to be
like,
buddy-buddy because that was Laenor's dragon. So, like, those dragons used to fly together all the time.
But it was nice seeing just how and I think she
Yeah.
clocked that, how protective Seasmoke was immediately.
Yeah.
Seasmoke was like, hey, don't come closer.
Hey, I
and I was
picked him.
like, I picked him. This is
I
mine.
picked this man. You tried to put that Darkland on my back.
How dare you.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Also, you put me in the bathtub the other day. I hate it. I'll never forgive it. You left for a week.
I want a
pooped in
dragon
your shoe.
so
And
bad.
then I feel like we've talked about it a little bit, but man, that Heron Hall, Oscar Tully.
Dude,
Good.
Evan, can you go
That's
off on
Evan's
Oscar
favorite.
Tully
That's
for a
Evan's
second?
favorite scene.
I
That's Evan's
loved
favorite
it
scene.
so much because I was like, how are they gonna like get this power dynamic like sorted out? I thought it was so well done, so well acted. And as soon as the episode ended, I went on Slack and I said, Oscar Tully Emmy nomination campaign starts.
Well,
Well,
now.
also our guy, what's his name, Strong? Just giving
Simon
faces.
Simon
Just
Strong.
giving like,
Line of the episode.
oh,
Oh, dear.
oh my.
He was serving with those eyebrows,
Yeah.
though. He went,
Just the reaction
Also, I love
shots.
the Riverlords are all like, very rugged armor,
Yeah.
earth tones, beat up. Simon Strong's there in like the most audacious robe I've ever seen with like gold
and his
lame.
manicured beard
Yes.
and just perfect lines.
His ugly ass castle.
it's weird how the series is making me I love the Riverlords. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
they're
genuinely
great.
am like, if I was in this, I don't want to be Targaryen or Grey. I want to be the Riverlords.
Well, and they're
great.
coded a little bit like the Northerners.
Yeah,
they're
in that
old
they're
school.
so about honor and like oaths and like doing things the right way and respecting the old gods. So there's a lot of
It's so simple of like, hey, he's bent the knee to her, so we're
Yeah.
still fighting for her. I don't care what he said halfway he was dead. He said in front of us, and we bent our knee to this.
And the scene is nice, though. Like Daemon's obviously conflicted, and he has to chop the head off the guy who's doing his bidding. But it gets to what we want, which is like give Daemon an army. Let's get out of Heron Hall. Let's finish this quagmire. Right?
They're next season. They're like, okay, so we cannot stay on Daemon that long ever again. But also, we'll see them probably maybe later. But there are other kids in that universe that are just as they get so violent at the age of 12.
There's
They're
Greyjoy out there doing nasty.
I can't wait until
yeah.
we might see one.
Also, we got to call out our guy Viserys getting in one last
another appearance from Viserys.
And this time he's the most degraded. This is
Yeah.
like clearly like what he looked like when he's about to die. Next week, do we see just a Viserys skeleton talking to Daemon?
Hey,
in
buddy.
Harrenhal?
You got it right.
Stop
Well,
being
and
idiots.
in the behind the scenes, Matt Smith was saying that was Paddy Constantine's demand. Was that for that final scene where he's trying to give him the crown, he wanted to be the most decrepit version of him, which is funny because Daemon never saw how fully decrepit he had become.
Yeah, because he was off in Pentos, right? Yeah.
Or like the last time they see him, he's wearing the mask and stuff. Like he had never fully seen the extent of the injuries. So again, another thing that Daemon's never seen for real. So it's not a dream; it's a vision put in his head. I don't know. Very interesting. No Alice Rivers this episode.
Well, I'm surprised that.
But was she the goat?
I thought
She
she
was the
was.
goat.
That's funny. That's actually great. I thought for some reason she was gonna be the bird that was flying above Alicent.
Well, that could be another thing because if she is like a ward looking in on things, is she seeing Alicent?
I definitely thought that long lingering on a black goat. I mean, like there's,
It's gotta be something.
And then he walks right into the Viserys hallucination.
right because we had seen that goat before in an earlier episode.
and in the movie The Witch, right?
What if it's just Black Phillip?
Yeah, maybe. Let's get into some of our main questions from the episode. Our boy Aemond. Is he screwed? Is he in trouble? Is the finale like an all-out dragon battle? We have all these dragons and dragon riders now, or are we gonna see this like dragon battle, or is it gonna be a more like ground force led battle with the armies kind of converging together?
I think it's gonna be a little bit of both because I think if there's not enough time to train those people to actually fight on dragon, and again, reminder that Jace's dragon's very young, so it's like we're all assuming is he the only other than Rhaenyra right now the only person born with their dragon?
Well, we keep hearing about Daeron, who is.
He's not. I don't think he's showing up next episode.
Well, I don't know.
I want to put a pin in that because it's like of the lingering questions from this episode. That's definitely one of them. Well, and Bela has a dragon, right?
Bela was born with her
born
dragon. Rhaenyra was born with her dragon. Helena was born with her dragon.
It's just an easier way to sum up whose
Jace's dragon
dragon.
was born.
It's just an easier way to sum up whose dragons are babies.
But
And
most
it's definitely
dragons
Jace's.
have seen no battle.
Exactly, that's what
Besides
I'm saying.
Vermithor, Silverwing, and Caraxes, I think.
That's why I don't think it's a good time to go against.
And Seasmoke,
Seasmoke
was also
involved in the
fighting the triarchy battle with Laenor.
But dragon versus dragon, that's
It doesn't seem like we should be doing it so soon yet. I think the only person that might be able to handle it well is Hugh.
Yeah.
Because Hugh is a hard man with a hard dragon. He's like, I can hold on to this.
He's got a hammer.
He's coming down with a hammer.
Yeah, if you watch like the preview for the next episode, right? Alfred Broom makes it to Harrenhal. And Alfred Broom is the guy that Rhaenyra sent away, who was like, I need you to go to Harrenhal
and
see how Daemon's doing. Because that's the problem, right? As far as we know right now, Daemon has no idea about this Dragon Seed program.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And Rhaenyra has no idea that that Daemon has secured the River Lords.
Yeah.
So, they're kind of setting up Broom getting there and being like, hey, Rhaenyra's fucking things up back there. Why don't you just take this army you have and take over?
Yeah, Rhaenyra has faltered while
I don't think Aemond's going to be like, wholeheartedly screwed, but it's gonna take a damage. It's gonna take a severe damage that's gonna wake up Aegon.
And Aemond sent Cole and the military, right, and his armies to Harrenhal. And Cole was like, I need Vhagar there, and Aemond was like, I'll show up when you need me. And now that Aemond has seen this, I think he's gonna make a quick jaunt to see where the army's at.
Yeah.
To make sure they don't need support, because now he knows that all these dragons can show up, plus Caraxes.
So the moving pieces we have, right? We have the Greens have that Lannister army just chilling with their lions at the Gold Tooth, right? Like they called that out.
They're waiting for Vhagar to show up.
Yeah, they kind of called that out this episode at the Small Council, being like, well, he's been delayed or what, or he's doddering or whatever he said. Then we've also got a Hightower army that's getting it's way slowed down because it's getting attacked by the Beastberries.
Right. They're getting a little revenge. Yeah, they're coming up from Old Town. And then we heard this episode, they're like, oh, Daeron's riding Tessarion. He started riding him, so this is great. But I mean, baby dragon.
Yeah, and so it's Aegon and Aemond's brother.
Yeah,
right?
That we've never met before.
Seen.
And as far as we know, hasn't been cast.
So call it right now. Do we see him in the finale?
They've said his name so much, and there's been no casting announcement about it, but maybe this is a surprise.
I don't think he's going to be at battle, but I could see Aemond, because again, Aemond needs everything he can do right now, so I could see him going to his little brother.
There's a shot in the trailer for the next episode of the Old Tower army marching, and it looks like a dragon we haven't seen before. Yes. I think that might be Tessarion.
What if, in the middle of this dragon battle, boom, 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 the blacks and the greens are fighting, things are getting hot and heavy. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this extra dragon, it's Daeron. Camera zooms in. Robert Downey Jr. playing Daeron.
He says, get used to it.
Yeah, new dragon, same task. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
You know what I think it is? Jared Leto.
And the thing is, it could be Jared Leto, and I'd be fucking furious.
He looks great. He could play a 20-year-old.
I thought you were going to say we have battle going on. There's lots of fighting. All of a sudden, you hear winter is coming. And then the Northmen come down.
That's what I'm
wondering. Men from the north.
Are the North still? They were on their way.
They were on their way.
The entire season they've been on their way.
I was like, it's going to take them forever to get to them.
But now that the twins have been secured, they got a shortcut.
So
they can show up any minute.
And so I guess but still finishing up the Greens. So the Greens have potential of 3 armies. They've got the Hightower army, the Lannister army, and then the thing that
Kristen Cole and Gwaine.
The Blacks have not much,
Lords.
just these River Lords, right? And they have some access. They've got the Tully people who are going to help, and they have the North coming, right? Like, as far as we know, the Vale is not helping them out in any way or whatever. And then other lingering questions. Yeah, does Daeron show up? Is Rhaena ever going to get to ride sheepstealer? Do we think that happens in the finale? They're teasing it so heavy.
They are teasing, and they haven't even shown us the dragon.
No, I do think, though, it would be nice to even get, like, a lingering bit of her finally getting it, though, and then we black.
Yeah, do they show her, just meeting the dragon and that's a black out? Or is it like a battle's going on, we have all these other dragons, and all of a sudden there's another new dragon?
Just going crazy.
I kind of agree. I think it's going to be,
in theory, doesn't have, like, a saddle or anything.
No.
Yeah, she's kind of been wild, right?
It's a wild dragon, never been ridden.
Which is fun, and that kind of opens up. I could also see, right, like this big battle plays out. Maybe we have a couple characters that we know and love get killed. Maybe some dragons get killed. Almost as like a post-credit scene to the episode. We see her approach this dragon, pet this dragon. Then, like, you see behind 2 other wild dragons right behind it. And just like as a tease of like, hey, don't worry, we lost a couple dragons that you guys know, but don't worry, there's even more for next season, right?
Rhaena walks up on that dragon. He's like, hey, you got any sheep, man?
Oh my God.
Just need a sheep. Just one sheep.
Just one sheep.
Just one sheep.
Fuck
Do
you.
whatever you
I'm
want.
sorry, I didn't mean that. I just
Hey,
need a
come
sheep.
on, man. Just one sheep, man.
Also, Alan of Hull very aggressively being like, I don't want to ride dragons.
I'm of Salton Sea.
I'm of Salton Sea. I'm a boat boy. Certified boat boy. But like, is he
I'm
gonna?
on that boat, motherfucker. Take a look at me now.
But is he gonna ride? Is he gonna ride a dragon?
No. I think he said his piece.
He said, wait.
He's like, can I put a boat on top of a dragon? Dude,
The Pirates of the
if a dragon comes around with sails on it,
Oh, he's on. He's on.
That dragon's of Salton Sea.
He's like, can we get some flippers on?
The dragon just hydroplanes along the water with its wings.
Or just get some floaties and some flippers on Seasmoke.
You're asking if Alan is gonna. Did you say Alan or Adam? They had to give them both A names, just like Eric and Eric.
Hey, don't get me started on names in the book. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like that. Do we see in the finale, is Corlys ever going to acknowledge that these two are his sons?
I mean, I think he's done his acknowledgement.
I think
That's all we get.
What I noticed really hard this episode, I clocked in, it pissed me off, is like how the royals or noble or whatever talk to people lower than them.
Yeah.
Because Alicent was like, "You're coming with me, bye." Like, he didn't get a chance to be like, "I should be here." She turned on him immediately. And same with Corlys. I was like, he's talking to these kids like they're not his kids. I was like, he's literally like, he does this to tell them to leave.
Yes, and even with that though, he shows a lot more respect than the other people at the Black Council who are like, they're letting him stay here as a guest.
Tell the guy who got bitch slapped last week.
He's
drinking his ass off, be like, "Yeah, his bastards in here."
Someone just kill him. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this point. I'm like, he's not supporting the queen.
I also like in this show, right? And so much of this episode was about class and status and how you were born. But also, it's interesting, right? Like, this is also a show with different ethnicity actors as well. But they're not, right? Nobody's like, oh, I have a problem with Addam because he's black,
right?
Or whatever. It's because he wasn't born
it's all caste.
in a high caste, right? Like,
I kept waiting for them, not even in a racist way, just to be like, oh, he was of darker skin, because everyone kept being like, oh, someone's on the dragon, but no one's saying that it was like to describe him. I was like, no one's even mentioning it. They're trying really hard not to acknowledge that these people are black.
6 foot tall black guy with dreads.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that didn't stand out to you.
Yeah.
He's wearing a hoodie. I don't know. He looks shifty.
They were trying very hard. And the thing is, Black
Twitter.
They're
on next door like there's been a dragon parked in my neighborhood.
That's right.
Black Twitter is not letting it down, and I am very supportive of that. Writers next season, you can acknowledge they're black and just make it okay.
Make it okay. I really like the scene where Corlys checks in on Addam, who's like, he's got a room. It's like a nice room. He's like, and the first thing Addam says is like, can I take some leave?
Can I get that PTO
from my shipwreck? And like, Corlys is like, almost rolls his eyes. He's like, yeah, you can have your league. Yeah, because you're riding a fucking dragon now, dude. Like, I'm not gonna make you work on the ship anymore.
I love it. He's just like, can I get that PTO?
Sir, can I have my leave? I need to put in an official request.
I genuinely think Alan might be, or Addam. Addam might be my favorite.
Yeah, he's great.
He's just so good, and I love that they made him, like, I'm still curious about Ulf, and I'm curious about Hugh, but I'm not curious about this man.
Yeah.
Well, and he's in
100%.
In previous conversations with his brother, right? He's also said outright, like, listen, I want to improve my station in life, right? Like, we know our dad is this rich guy who won't acknowledge us, but like, maybe he might, or whatever. And it's clear in that moment between Corlys and Addam, right? He's like, did I do good, Papa? And Corlys is like, well done, right? And that might be the most he gets. Yeah. But like, I bet that also
and
like
Corlys is like much friendlier to Alan. Because like he's a boat dude,
yeah,
and they're both boys together.
Saved his life.
It's like a dad and a football player. Yeah. But I also
he's like, Addam, you're into like Broadway musicals. I don't really vibe with that, but I'm proud of you.
Like, and Addam has made it very clear, like, he is restless. He wants to do better things, and so does Laenor's dragon. I was like, so does Seasmoke. So I was like, they both found restless people in each other.
Well, you mentioned Hugh and Ulf and their ulterior motives, possibly. Like, Jace brings up this idea of like, hey, you know, if you start giving these boys dragons, they're gonna say like, well, we're Targaryen too, and we want to be maybe even sit on the Iron Throne, right? You think that's gonna be a problem? Like,
I think it's gonna be a problem, but it also is fair. Like, the thing is, like, these people have been starving, and you even said in your speech, Rhaena, like, you no longer have to starve. Like, you don't, your kid can survive, and it's like, yeah, if I've been starving my entire life, and I found out that my dad was President Obama, I'm gonna be like, hey, or like this is a very long, drawn out thing, but George Washington's even descendants that are black, they get to go to the school for, like, I'm gonna come up and be like, hey, I need to claim my stake. So,
And I think that Hugh's kind of conversation with his wife, Kat, where he's like, hey, you'll get to be a lady. And she's like, I don't want to be a lady. Like, I don't want any of that. Hugh kind of does, I think. I think he wants a little station.
Here's what I think. In the 3, like, dragon seeds that have succeeded so far, right? Like, Addam, Hugh, and Ulf. They all have different motivations, very different personalities. Addam, right? Yeah, like you said, he has this, like, quest for adventure, and also maybe like just a desire to be acknowledged. He's also, of these 3 bastards, the only one whose dad is around, right? And that he can meet, and he can maybe still be legitimized.
Acknowledges it a little.
Yes,
bit. Yeah.
and will like talk to him or whatever, right? Hugh and Ulf like have no connection to any of their Targaryen parentage, and also their direct parent that was a Targaryen is not alive anymore either, right? Ulf is a dirtbag. Right? Everything you've seen about him, he's drunk, he's a braggart, he's a dirtbag.
Well, and he's been drinking off of everyone else in town, basically.
Yeah, and he's a coward. He didn't really want to do this.
Well, he was like, I'm gonna represent the small folk, right? That was always his pitch. He's like, I'm gonna fix things as a Targaryen if I could just get a little station in life. And now when the offer's there, he's like,
because he wasn't sincere about it.
No.
And then Hugh, I think, right, like he's had the worst recent history, lost his daughter. He's up there. You know, last episode, he was punching dudes for a head of cabbage. Okay?
What about that guy, huh?
He's operating from a place of anger, bitterness.
And now his kid's dead.
And now his kid's dead, and he wants vengeance, right? He doesn't even... Yeah, he's like, oh, maybe the wife can be a lady, but that doesn't... I don't feel like that's what's really driving him. He's angry at the world has killed his daughter.
We saw him punch that man for a cabbage.
Yeah.
Like, it's... And, again, at the end of the day, we're gonna... If these people do uproar or whatever, they have a right to. Like, I can't stand when Jace is going off about, like, these people are mongrels. I'm like, you have had a silver spoon in your mouth. These people have been struggling to survive below you their entire life. Every single one of them. So yeah, they do deserve their right and their claim. It's more though I'm afraid of like how they're gonna go about it. Like I can see Hugh just being like, hey, can I have a station? But I can see Ulf being like, well, I'm gonna take this dragon and go steal people or go steal things.
Right. One thing that no one really knows about because it's totally different from the book is Laenor, right? Laenor is still alive, last we know. He escaped in season 1. Now in the book, he's dead. And something dead. He's confirmed dead in the book. Something George R.R. Martin had said about dragons and their riders was that like a dragon can't bond with a new rider while its current rider is like alive. Does that mean, do you think like Laenor's dead and the dragon just knows, or to the dragon, Laenor's dead and he's like, he's not around anymore?
I could see that bond being cut because Laenor was raised with his baby, right? With Seasmoke?
I believe, Laenor was raised
that's
with
like
Seasmoke.
I feel it's never deciphered, but that's an extra bond with people versus getting a hand-me-down dragon. They're like, that egg was next to me in my little cradle. So I could see that, and also that would make sense why he was so restless and took to the skies immediately, rather than like staying in the dungeon like Vermithor.
Maybe because like Addam is technically his half-brother. He's like, hey, you're close enough to Laenor. You smell like my, you smell like 100%,
Laenor. 100%. I feel like, which is really sad to say, and maybe they just didn't do it, if, actually no, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been, right? I was gonna say the descendant of Daemon and what's her name? If she,
Rhaena?
the one that's getting the wild, that's trying to go get the wild dragon. If she went to Vermithor, maybe Vermithor would have been like,
they
said
they tried Rhaena on like all the dragons in the Dragon Mountain. It didn't work.
So now, it's a boy. It has to be a boy.
I don't know. Well, Laenor, do you think he could make a return in this next episode? Could he play a part? Is he going to show back up?
We haven't seen
again?
him at all this season. Not only have we not seen him, even like brought him up a ton. Either.
There is a weird shot in the trailer. It kind of looks like a coastal island area where there's like a mud fight going on and like kind of looks like pirates. I don't know if it's like the Triarchy, but could we check in on Laenor and see what he's up to?
Do you not think Laenor could be dead and it's the partner that he ran away with? Who's probably coming back to be like, hey, I'm down on my luck, but I was his lover.
Can you give me more money? I honestly, I don't see the point of like making a change from the book where Laenor escapes to not ever bring him back again. If it was just for him to escape so he can go live happily ever after and that's the end.
I love it.
It's weird.
But I love it, but I also think what if there's opportunity for other things for Laenor to come back? Not like not saying like for him to come back, but something that he's related to or pieced together. Like if it's the love of his life, or he does have promiscuities and hooks up with other people, has a different child somewhere else, something else happens.
Here's my pitch for the finale of this entire series.
Okay.
Not just this season, the final series, okay? It's Dark Knight Rises. There's a little cafe on the balcony. Okay, sitting at one end of the cafe, Mysaria, sipping a cocktail. She looks, who's that down there? Laenor? And they just give each other a little this. And then that's it. Credits, okay?
They do a great dance.
They live.
They've been playing. Do you think Mysaria is up to something bad?
No, I think Mysaria is
You think she's doing this?
ingratiating herself with the queen as much
My
as she
biggest
can. fear
fear is I saw how many people that scroll had to go through, and I went, okay, at some point someone's gonna get a hold of it that's not in the right hands.
There
and
was like a weird little shot of Mysaria during the like dragon Gantry thing where I didn't know if they wanted us to think something or if she was just impressed by the whole scenario.
I didn't get from that shot. I got scared in that like she sees I brought these people here.
Right.
Yeah.
These are the common folk that I'm advocating for. And you're setting them up to get roasted, right? Like that was maybe her having a little regret for her part in this program.
Yeah.
It's also scary to be like, Mysaria is for the small folk, and to see like the highest people for the dragons are like, I'm not dealing with these gross, dirty, cabbage-eating bitches. And then just like that's how I call the small folk. I'm sorry. I spent too much time.
Fish. Also, again, everybody in King's Landing has been eating nothing but fish for weeks and weeks and weeks.
They should be happy.
Just coming out
Fish
of
is
the pores.
great.
Yeah.
They must smell like a can of sardines.
Too many
That
lipids.
tells also the people that are at the sea, they're fine. They're eating because they get fish all the time, right? So the small folk that don't want to eat fish are like, I'm just eating dirt.
I know.
I guess so. I don't know.
If you're not down with that pescatarian diet,
That's why
get
Adam's
out.
so happy. Adam's like, I'm content. I'm eating clams.
Very, very quick. Evan tried to skip it. Let her cook. Olivia Cook didn't get much to do this episode. Maybe we should change it to Let Her Camp. Did you have a
She is
favorite line?
camping.
Did she have a good line you liked, or
No,
any
I didn't
other
like.
favorite lines?
My favorite part of her was that poor guard that had to go with her. That was my
So
favorite.
he's
like-
like being like, I'm just gonna eat squirrels.
Yeah, he's like, hey, when do you think we might head back? She's like, never.
Well,
Good night.
That part, and then him being like, "Do I have to stay here?"
I've got to return a book to the library.
But then we also forget the little washing of the cut scene at the beginning.
That was a good line from Maester Orwell, who was like, "It's a scar you should be easy to hide."
Yes.
And it's like,
Why
all
did-
she does is hide her scars. Man.
Yeah. Is that just because she's the folk queen, whatever we call her? Is that why does she
the
have to
Queen
hide the
Regent
scar?
or whatever? Well, I think it's more that like, I think Maester Orwell assumes that a highborn woman doesn't want to be seen with these hideous
Pretty
scars.
minor. Also, I didn't even know that thing was going to scar.
I don't think
It wasn't
well,
that deep.
You know.
Was it a no when she was like, "This place is dirty," and all you see is the rats eating?
Well, it was funny, like, yeah, you see that the rats are back because they killed all the rat catchers. It's also because in the book, after they kill all the rat catchers, Otto Hightower, who never leaves King's Landing, he brings in a bunch of cats to kill all the rats. And because Otto's not there, the rats are back.
Yeah.
But I think it does go to show that, like, things are still filthy in this castle.
And there's rats. There's like Laris and Iron
Yeah.
Rod are out there. Like,
Yeah. Withholding crucial information from their king, Regent. As we do every episode, very quickly, we're going to do our power rankings, and Zach's going to use his convoluted blur system. Tell us
right.
about it, Zach.
Okay, blur. B, blood. Okay, which, the greens or the blacks, who spilled more blood? I mean, I think it's just
blacks
Daemon.
spilled more blood.
It's just Daemon chopping a head, right?
Well,
Nobody
and all
else.
those dragon seeds.
Oh, yes, and then all those roasted dragon seeds. So the greens didn't spill any blood this episode that we know of, so clearly that goes to the blacks. L, lust. Anybody knocking boots? There's no sexy
I
sex
wanted
in
a little
this one.
Rhaenyra Mysaria check-in.
I know.
Maybe a little bit.
I wanted that. I also want Allison to hook up with the guard. I was like, "Go off."
I know.
I said, "Go off."
Do
Girl.
you think that was part of his thing, where she was like, "Hey, you and I are gonna go out the woods"? He's
He
like,
was
"I
probably
know what
scared.
happens to Kristen Cole."
I think he was a little nervous. Like, please, not me. I don't want to die.
He was like,
please.
"Let me do my jaw exercises before we leave."
Also because like it would be breaking his oath,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
As
it
the
was.
White Cloak. If you,
He probably
if you have-
take-
And you can't say no. That's the hard
Yeah.
part. That's the part that I kept thinking about too. I was like, you can't say no to her because she's the queen, and it would be horrible.
The U in the blur rankings is unity. Who's building alliances? Who's forging better unity?
blacks are
I mean, I
great,
guess
dude.
it's just the blacks win that too,
Small
because
vote.
like the Riverlands, though it was bloody to get there, but at least
Yeah,
they're kind
the
of
Green
united.
Council's withholding information from Aemond. Not a good look. Not a good
Yes, and then finally, repartee. Who had the best lines this week? You know, we didn't spend as much time with the Greens this week.
look. Right. I will say.
What was the line you kept saying?
Well, that's I loved Rhaenyra's.
say that with which the gods have laid before
Yeah,
me.
that's a
Yeah,
Rhaenyra
I love
line.
that
Yeah,
one.
that
I did like. Aemond was dropping bars on those two lick spittles, Aegon's little buddies that got sent to the wall.
yeah, they got sent to the wall.
I would have rather died in the street, my man. I love that he's like yelling at them and you can't hear it because we're focused on Ironrod and Larys talking. Like that was kind of fun. Also, my boy Aemond, I'm pretty sure this was all him. When he hops on that horse, he does like a running leap onto that horse to ride out of the city.
Yes.
My guy, what a stunt. Good stuff. Hard to do.
Been fine.
Very good. Well done.
I love that you're like, I'd rather get killed than sent to the moon.
Dude, I want to get sent to the wall.
I'll be sent to the wall.
That's
Send me to the
It's just
goddamn
a
wall.
long
hard
march.
life.
It's a long march from
It's the
King's
march,
Landing,
but
too.
once you get there, you're fine. You eat
All
your
those
cold
stinky
stew,
men
and you'll
eating
be
cold
stank.
squirrels.
Steak!
Stink.
Yeah. These are high-born boys,
At least
too.
you're eating.
Cyborg boys.
Everyone there eating dirt.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they were down at the Pillow House having a grand old time.
Ooh.
Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Break Room right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch where we do videos like this live. We'll be live simulcasting for the finale next Monday. So check the schedule if you'd like to join us. Submit your questions, your thoughts about how the season wraps up. We can't wait to see how it ends, and I'm so sad it's ending already. Make sure to follow at BreakroomNR on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Twitch, wherever you can find us. We'll catch you next time. Latest gators. Goodbye. Jessica's gonna go to bed.